Hi, everybody, and welcome to Bloop. I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Laura.
And today we're going to be talking about the Winston Brothers Series by Penny Reid. There's quite a few books in this series. There's 6 or 7, right? But today we're going to be talking...
Well, there's 6, and then there's another spin-off series.
Yeah, there's
some novellas, right?
There's a lot. But today we're just going to be talking about the first book in the series called Truth or Beard. And as you guessed it, it's kind of lumberjackery and men with beards, so
Small
we kind
town
of wore the flannel.
Yeah. What is Bloop? Bloop, we are a podcast, obviously, and where we discuss everything book-related. Something that we might be known for is our rating system. And this is because here at Bloop, we feel that readers have the right to know. And what does that mean? That means that we want to kind of give readers a heads up on the level of content that might be found in this book before they invest their time, money, emotions, anything else that goes into reading a book. So without further ado, Rebecca here is going to give you the synopsis for Truth or Beard, and then we're going to talk about our ratings system for it, our star ratings, and then we'll get into all the spoilers.
And if you haven't done so already, please like and share us, like our podcast. Comment below with any comments that you might have.
Yeah, we love to interact.
Yes, exactly. All right, so let's get into it. Beards, brothers, and bikers, oh my. Identical twins, Beau and Dwayne Winston, might share the same devastatingly handsome face, but where Beau is outgoing and sociable, Dwayne is broody and reserved. This is why Jessica James, recent college graduate and perpetual level-headed good girl, has been in a naive and unhealthy infatuation with Beau Winston for most of her life. His friendly smiles make her tongue-tied and weak-kneed, and she's never able to move beyond the childish crush. Whereas Dwayne and Jessica have always been adversaries, she can't stand him, and she's pretty sure he can't stand the sight of her. But after a case of mistaken identity, Jessica finds herself in a massive confusion kerfuffle. I like that word, kerfuffle.
Kerfuffle. Said that.
Jessica James has spent her whole life paralyzed by the fantasy of Beau and her assumptions of Dwayne's disdain. Therefore, she's unprepared for the reality that is Dwayne's insatiable interest, as well as his hot hands and hot mouth and hotter looks. Not helping Jessica's muddled mind and good girl sensibilities, Dwayne seems to have gotten himself in trouble with the local biker gang, the Iron Wraiths. Certainly, Beau's magic spell is broken, yet when Jessica finds herself drawn to the man who was always her adversary, now more dangerous than ever, how much of her level-head heart, it's a tongue twister right there, is she willing to risk?
Oh, yeah.
Very, very.
Okay, so just to reiterate again, this is a series of standalones. However, what I think Penny Reid does really well is she's still able to have this larger plot that will weave through all the books. So my suggestion would be to definitely read them all.
Okay. Yeah, definitely read them all.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about our ratings and our rating system. So at Bloop, something that a lot of authors do is they provide trigger warnings for readers, right? And so we feel like sometimes the trigger warnings can definitely be spoiler for the book. So there's a lot of readers who don't want to see trigger warnings as they feel like it spoils a good chunk of the book for them. And so content ratings lets you kind of know the level that could be in the book, and then as a reader, if you want to then go look at author's trigger warnings or things like that, you can. Obviously, it's your prerogative to look, but we're trying to give you the information without spoiling anything. And you can find our full rating system, blooppodcast.com. And so for this book, we gave this rating an A, which is for adults, with the sexual content rating of 3, meaning moderate spice. Okay, so why the rating? Well, there is some explicit language, although I do think Penny Reid does a really good job of like when they use it, it's very authentic.
Yes.
It's not just like overboard or like feels like it's shoved in there like
yeah, it's whatever. Very well placed.
It's not shock value. It is like truly like in the moment. There is some violence and threat of violence. Obviously, adult themes. There is nudity. This book starts off with a little bit of spice. It's like a very steamy scene. So don't let that turn you off if that's not like your thing, because for majority of the book, it's not like that. Multiple references to sexual acts, and sex does occur like midway, like type of point. And I'm not going to share with like who or how you see it. Just know that you would see a little, obviously more than fade to black or just kissing in some of the characters. And then the sex scenes that do partake, they contain some description, including what is happening above and below the waist. But it's what Penny does so well is it truly is like authentic.
Yeah.
I don't know how another word to say. It's just very like real. There's no like
what's happening between the characters, the dialogue. It's very this would happen.
I
it's
feel
not...
like you won't have any of those like ick words.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's not like these flowery made up like. There's nothing like icky because, again, in those scenes, even though there is some description, it's primarily focused on thoughts and emotions and still the characters interacting.
Right.
But if you have any more questions, you can drop them below. Look on our website for the full, the full makeup of what our content rating system is. And then without further ado, we're going to give our rating, our star ratings. In other words, how much we enjoyed book 1 of the Winston Brothers series. Wait, I'm getting crafty.
All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, and yours looks better than mine. Yes.
All right.
5 stars.
5 big stars.
Yes.
I mean, this was a great introduction to a series. If you've read it, please, we want to know what your rating is below. Your star rating.
I feel like this series kind of got missed. I don't know how it got missed. Like, I don't see anybody talking about it. Maybe it's because it's older. I don't know. But I feel like it's...
We need to bring
I feel like
it.
Nobody knows about this series, and that's why we really wanted to review it.
There is a ton do. So Penny Reid has an active like VIP Facebook group, like reader group in Facebook. So it is active, and I do think a lot of people know it. So she has another series right before this called Knitting in the City. And you'll see Ashley, she's in this family photo. Ashley right here is the one and only sister with all those brothers. And her story happens in Knitting in the City. So there's kind of a little bit of a crossover. So, I mean, if you want to read Knitting in the City before Winston Brothers, I mean, I would just recommend it. And it's fun reading. But she had a, what is it called? Not like a fundraiser. Kickstarter, thank you. Because she was doing special editions for like Knitting in the City. Not only did she meet goal in like the first couple hours, but then she literally surpassed it by like I don't remember what exactly it was, but it was insane. I know she did.
Yeah,
her Kickstarter literally blew up. So she has a lot of devoted fans. But yeah, I'm wondering like.
I don't mean the fan part. I mean like, we were in reading groups on Facebook. I am. Nobody's like talking about it, and I suggest this series all the time. All the time I suggest it. And it's like people are like, huh? Who's that? And I'm like, wait a minute.
That's the cool thing. There's always, new readers to be had. So, I want it to go viral on TikTok. I think Penny Reid deserves it.
She does, because she's really good at this. Because especially with a long series such as this one, books can get boring and characters can just seem like they're out of character.
They don't sound like themselves.
Or there's some kind of made up weird thing that just isn't. It doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound like something that would ever happen. But everything.
I will recommend, though, if you have the option to listen to the audiobook, it is free on most library apps. It was free on Audible for years.
Yes. That's how I listened to it first time. I think you did too. You told me about this series a couple years ago, and you were like, it's free. Go. And
so the cool thing with that is if you can, the narrators, phenomenal. Especially the male narrator. He stays throughout the whole series, but the women will sometimes interchange. And He's like literally phenomenal.
His name is Chris Brinkley, and he is awesome. I mean, there's a lot of this whole series takes place in the backwoods of Tennessee,
Green Valley, Tennessee. It doesn't exist, but it's based off of her visiting, I guess, family in Tennessee a lot.
Yes. So there's Southern drawl, and the narrators, especially in this book, Joy Nash and Chris Brinkley, they really do the narration well with the Southern drawl, all
emotions, just the right inflection, making sure each character sounds different, unique. So like, as an audiobook listener, Rebecca and I primarily listen to audiobooks. Mm-hmm. I have two neurological conditions that make it really difficult for me to read. And so audiobooks is primarily the way I consume my books. And
I just don't have time. So
hey, there's valid reasons all around, but the point is we listen to a lot of audiobooks. And so nothing frustrates me more than when I'm listening to an audiobook and I can't easily tell who is speaking or where we're at, and like, so that you don't have those problems with this series.
Have that problem in this series.
Okay, so tell me, Rebecca, a few things that, like, in general, that you enjoyed about the book that would not be spoilery.
Well, first of all, it's hilarious. The witty banter back and forth between all the characters. Yeah. I mean, it's hilarious. And I don't mean just like kind of, giggling to yourself. I mean, I'm doing what she just did and like putting the book down and just laughing.
Laugh out loud.
Laugh out loud
moments. Laugh out loud funny.
It's laugh out loud funny. All the situations, again, are very authentic. I feel like, I could see that happening, kind of thing. I started doing the little kind of tropes, and I'm not as good at tropes as you are, but
we'll get to that in a second. But just generally speaking,
okay. So she has, I put something in here. I said she has snuggling, kissing, petting, cuddling, hand-holding, etc., instead of just sex. When there is a sex scene.
So she has romance.
She's got a lot of romance.
Not sex,
the hero and heroine actually do what couples do in real life. It's not some kind of crazy.
Ooh, so this is what I would like. So for those of you looking, I guess we'll talk about it in a minute because I don't know if it's spoilery.
Okay.
So, I'm glad you said that, because speaking of the plot, sometimes in books, like, romance can fall just kind of flat, like it doesn't seem, there's always almost sometimes like a forced trial or a forced, like, and so sometimes authors, which is fine, sometimes it's hard to come up with that plot point, but you just be like, really, like, who would act like that, or who would really in a real situation, because this isn't fantasy, y'all. Like, I feel like I, as a reader, give more grace to fantasy books because
it's made up.
You're in a new world and you're made up, but when you're in like real world, real time, like whatever, I expect a little bit more for it to feel very plausible, real, plausible. Like, that could definitely happen.
I could see a friend of mine
I could see myself, a friend of mine, a family member. I could totally see them reacting that way.
And that's how I've kind of felt with this whole series. I felt like I could be all of their friend. Like, I would fit right in. It just felt supernatural, connected with all the characters.
So very character driven and very, like, just realistic. So I do like that. And I loved how, like, the threat wasn't necessarily within the couple themselves. There's like an actual like outside threat that Penny is able to really weave seamlessly through not only the book but then the series.
Right.
So it's actually really cool. Okay, so here we're coming to the part where if you haven't read this book, we're about to do a deep dive. So please come back later after you've read it. Tell us how much you love it.
Yes.
And then listen to the rest of the show, because we're taking our deep dive now. So we can't promise. I mean, there will be spoilers. We're deep diving here. Okay. What are your vibes, keywords, tropes? Like, if somebody was looking to pick up this book.
Yep.
What are all the things that you feel are like, this is a selling point, this is a selling point?
And again, I'm not as good at this as Laura is, but I wrote hot, Southern charm, obviously. Hot, rugged guys with beards. Oh, yeah. I don't even know if that's a thing, but it is for me. Enemies to lovers. Sweet, heartwarming story. Small town. Devoted family. Strong main female character that isn't annoying. It's huge for me.
Huge.
childhood nostalgia, biker gang.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much where I ended.
Okay, so I can't believe she missed this one. She's going to be like, oh my gosh, redheaded main male character.
Oh yes, because my husband is a bearded redheaded main character in my story.
And my husband has a beard as well. And what's funny is like his beard. He's one of those guys that won the genetic lottery, right? Where his hair color is one thing and his beard is like the red beard. So So she said enemies to lovers. I feel it's more like a childhood frenemies to lovers.
I didn't really know. That's why I also put the childhood nostalgia in there because it was like based on.
It's more like to me, it's more like childhood frenemies. Like anyways, like the fourth graders chasing each other on the playground.
Yeah, and he likes her because he pulls her pigtails and pushes her down the stairs, kind of stuff.
He falls first.
Yep,
and I agree with you. Great banter. And to add to that, a lot of baggage from childhood, especially for both characters. Mm-hmm. Toxic extended family. I mean, I'm sure everybody has at least one person.
And if you can't think of any toxic people in your family, then you are the toxic person in your family.
That's a bold statement, y'all. That is a bold statement. Okay. Family secrets. A cat named Sir Edmund Hillary who also tries to kill the female main character. It's a joke. Just, you gotta watch. The idea of courting somebody.
Right.
I mean, swoon, first of all.
I mean, and it's so missing.
Romance.
Today.
We're talking the subtle, the eye looks. The hot, we'll get to that in a minute, but like a quote, like you gave me a hot look.
Southern gentleman.
Yes, Southern accents, if you listen to that book. Southern charm with a gentleman. Like real, like gentleman values. Yeah. Yes. He wants to wait. So you said biker gang, small town, HEA, it means happily ever after. Sizzling chemistry, a lot of comedy. It's dual POV, which I love because you get to be in the one character's head and the other character's head. I like that too.
I like first person and then
so it's a lot more showing versus telling. Slow burn, the idea of wanderlust. We have the sassy and smart female main character, a smart and stubborn male main character. A lot of respect for women. I really like how Penny always elevates all the women in her book, but also the men. Like you won't find Penny putting down men to make the women seem stronger. It is a very equal playing field.
And
love
if
it.
a woman's being really, I don't know, kind of mean, I mean, the men call them, there are women on it in the books
and
too,
the women will call the men on it
and
too.
vice versa. Yeah.
Mechanics, so working with men who work with their hands. And honest, respectful conversations between the couple. Like a good example of a positive relationship. Yes. Love it. Love it. Okay, moving on to what would you like to talk about next? The characters?
Yeah, because we already said it was spoilers.
Yeah, so we're deep diving here.
Do we want to talk about this or no?
Yeah, let's talk about the family photo. So in this photo, in the middle, in the front, in the yellow jacket is the mom, and she looks like she could be a sibling, right? Well, she had them when she was really young. And so this is all her family. I love how small Bethany looks.
Their dad is not a good guy.
Not a good guy.
He is in the biker gang, the Iron Rates. He's
higher up in the.
He's like one of the, but he was not a good guy. I mean, he mistreated Bethany
and
all his children.
Yeah.
So there's that going on in the background. Bethany has recently passed away, and so they're trying to get over her untimely death because she was pretty young.
She was in her 40s, right?
Yeah, it's she was young,
like in her late 40s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Jethro was almost 30. Jethro was 30 or 31.
Yeah,
in his book. Anyways. So all the brothers here each get their own book, and we told you Ashley has her own book in a previous storyline. Mm-hmm. So the first one, you'll see the difference. How you can tell the twins apart is like how Rebecca was sharing in the synopsis was that Bo is like,
yeah, Bo's the happy guy,
always happy, whatever, and then Dwayne always has this face like this is stupid.
Yeah, he's very snarky and just kind of like,
yeah. But he knows what he wants. So the first book is going to be Dwayne.
Yep. This is Dwayne's story. Yeah.
Yeah, Dwayne's story. And then you're going to get to each brother. So then there's...
And you kind of hear from all the brothers in all the other stories too. There's dialogue.
Yeah, you're going to get to know and taste like the characters of other brothers in the series. Some brothers are highlighted a little more in certain books than others because just of the relationship with the family. But the family dynamic is so great.
Yes.
Like it is so great. They are ride or die. We will support each other.
Devoted family.
Yeah. Loyal family.
I'm going to go to the next slide.
Go for the next slide.
Oh, this is all the brothers again.
Okay, well, here they are. Okay, so I was a little bit at first because I was like, this and
I was
this.
like, who's that? It's Roscoe.
It's Roscoe, but why is he in like a suit and
not
his scrubs?
I think he should have had some scrubs on.
So it made it a little bit difficult, but I feel like this is the birth order.
This is the birth order. This is Jethro, Billy, Cletus, Bo, Dwayne, and Roscoe. Yeah.
But and Ashley's in there somewhere. I forget where she is. But I think Ashley's in between Billy and Cletus. But
is she, or does she come after Cletus?
Either before or after Cletus.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go to the next slide. Okay, Dwayne and Jessica's story. At the very beginning of this book, Jessica James, she actually speaks to... Well, they're at this party, right? They're at this function, and she's actually speaking to who she thinks is Bo. It's not Bo. It's Dwayne. And so she's getting all those feelings because remember in the synopsis it talked about how she had this crush on Bo Winston. That's always who
it's like she wanted it to be Bo so bad because her best friend Claire was like, I don't think it's Bo.
And she's like, oh, it is.
Yeah, it is. I would know.
And then they kind of go off into it. I don't exactly remember. They had some dialogue at the party, and then she sees him like behind the stage at the school.
They don't really have a dialogue.
Yeah, and then he just
went in and was like, I think they kind of do because he doesn't answer her.
Because he doesn't answer
if
her.
If he's Bo or not.
Because she calls him Bo, and he's just kind of like, mm-hmm.
And then she's like second guessing because Claire said her comment, and then he let her make the decision, like, you should know me. Like,
yeah.
And
then
next
she decides, thing you know, they are full-blown making out, like, behind the... Yeah. And
then he stops it when it starts to
I thought they got didn't they get her interrupted by Bo?
They got interrupted by Bo. Well, it started getting no, because it started getting a little bit hotter and heavier than making out, and he was like, I have to tell you something.
And that's the first
because he was feeling guilty. He has to I have to tell you something because he knew obviously she was wrong, and then Bo
walks in and he's like, hey, we're getting ready to go. And then she's like, wait, what? Which one are you? You know? What? So she finally realizes it's Dwayne. And, but this is where we're introduced to this quote, you're giving me a hot look. Like, that's where, I don't know which one of them said it first. They
both say it, yeah.
But they say it throughout this book.
He says it to her first. He's like, oh, you got to quit looking at me like
that,
Jessica.
You're giving me a hot look. Like, that's going to...
Looking like what? Giving me a hot look.
So this was like code for them throughout the book. Like,
you
better stop looking at me like that. Something's going to happen that you don't want to happen, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It was great.
Like, maybe if I look even harder, no, I'm just kidding. So Penny Reid has this, like, fantastic ability to make not just likable, but, like, lovable characters that, like, you really invest in. And then they each, like we said before, have a distinctive voice, right? And they all have, like, their own quirkiness, right? Like,
their personalities really shine.
Just, like, but they're all, like, quirky in a little
But they're all a little... Yeah, they are.
And I love it.
Yeah, they're not perfect.
Yeah, I love it.
Which I like.
So who is Dwayne? Let's talk a little bit about Dwayne. So he's in his mid-20s, obviously. Red hair with beard, blue eyes, twin brother, and they are almost opposites in their demeanor, right? Dwayne, we already talked about, serious. He doesn't beat around the bush. He doesn't fake his emotions. He's very, like, able to communicate.
What you see is what you get.
Not only that, but he's really able to communicate and articulate, like,
once you get to know him, I feel like he just doesn't take time with people that he doesn't.
No,
he doesn't find. If he feels like you're inconsequential or whatever. You're not really that important to him.
He's not conceited.
No,
like
but he
that,
just doesn't. He just doesn't take the time to let you get to know him until you're getting to know him.
So there's like this thing that Jessica's picked up, and she kind of always says like his smiles are reserved for those who truly like deserve it. You know, he's a skilled mechanic and he's like a restoration specialist, so he'll take old classic cars and just like make them beautiful. And he knows how to and wants to dance with a girl. He knows how to kiss. He likes to read, and he also makes a lot of jokes regarding car parts.
Yes, and he also loves to race. He's your daredevil. I mean, when I started reading about Dwayne, I kind of got I feel the need for speed from, Top Gun. I kind of felt that about him.
That's how he blows off steam.
Yeah, he was the daredevil, and Jessica starts to learn a little bit more about him. Fun fact to the side, Dwayne, of course I just said he likes speed, so he's always speeding around town, and Jessica James's brother
and dad,
Jackson James,
and dad,
is the sheriff of their little town.
Well, the dad's the sheriff and
the brother's a deputy. Yeah. But Dwayne's always getting pulled over. He just is.
Always.
So
even when he's not speeding.
They've got it in for Dwayne. Like
well, I mean he's pressed a few buttons in his day.
He has.
So, Jessica, she's also, I believe, in her mid-20s, early to mid-20s.
She's a calculus teacher, right?
She teaches math at the high school. She's got blonde hair, brown eyes. She's the high school calculus teacher. She's smart and sassy. I love how just like honest she is and how fiercely she loves, like especially when she feels safe. Like she's just like giving it all to you. No, I don't know. No walls are up.
Right.
I loved when she refused to believe. So there's a part where there's like another character called Tina, and she tries to make Jessica second guess Dwayne's character. Like, oh look, he's been calling me all the time, because Tina and Dwayne used to be a thing, and she chose in that moment to believe what she knew in her heart to be true about Dwayne.
Yes, I love that.
Followed her gut.
I love that.
So that would be really difficult. Like, you have somewhat proof, like you don't see what anything says, but you can see like, oh, he's called her a lot. Why is he calling her? They're supposed to be over. And Tina's playing it up and alluding to the fact, like, yeah, me and Dwayne are, he wants me back.
Calling
and
he wants, why else would he call me?
And Jessica's like, nope, that's not my Dwayne.
Nope. So she completely.
I mean, some people are like, no, that's a red flag, But it's
but she goes to him immediately and says, what's this about?
Yeah, she waits to approach him about it versus like blowing up and having this emotional response. And this is where I think some authors would have went with that, with Jessica blowing up and causing like the third act breakup, and that didn't happen, which I appreciate. So now that we're deep diving, you will learn that Penny Reid doesn't really do a third act breakup.
Yeah, and she keeps the level of maturity there with the characters. Like she doesn't have like a weird immature moment. Jessica.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no. When I say the third act breakup, I won't. I shouldn't say that there's no conflict or tension within the couple. Right. But it's not like a forced third act breakup. Right. It is like a couple dealing with a real issue.
Another conflict. Yeah.
And how does this couple deal with this conflict besides just like, let's just break up and move on, and then they have to get back together? Like, you don't see that in these books.
Right.
All right. So some of the brothers who have a bigger role in this book will be Beau, Cletus, and that's pretty much the two brothers like you really see more time with.
You see Jethro here and there.
At the very towards the end. Because
there's a conflict surrounding Jethro.
Towards the end, but you see in this book you'll see a lot more Beau and Cletus because they all own the shop together.
Yes.
So they work together, so you just see them. And Cletus, love him.
He's my favorite.
I think he's on the. Do you think he's like on the spectrum?
I don't know. But
I think he's on the spectrum.
But he's the best.
But he's just sharp. He's blunt. He's extremely intelligent. This is not somebody you want to make an enemy with. He is freaking hilarious.
He's hilarious.
Like, he is the comedy of the show. Like, he's great. So, and Beau's like a big people pleaser, and you'll hear more about his story later, so I don't want to share too much about like Beau, why he's a people pleaser, but everything's like a smile. Everything's great in my world, fun, lighthearted, keeps the peace. He also likes to make, little jokes with Cletus with his sausage jokes.
I wrote that down too. Cletus talking about his sausage.
And it's literal meat sausage.
I mean, he's talking about sausage, but everybody is taking it a different way because what he's saying can be taken a different way.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Here's a quote. But work up an appetite, woman, because you've never tasted fine meat until you've eaten my sausage. I mean, that's...
They're all like, Cletus! Oh, gosh. Okay. And then, of course, so in the books, like, you would think that, like, a villain I don't know, what does the villain look like or the conflict look like? So, again, the couple has, like, their own hurdles that they have to... Right, because it takes a lot for, like,
the
two people...
conflict I felt in this book was Dwayne wants a relationship. Like, he wants forever with whoever he's dating. Like, he doesn't want to just date around.
Date.
He doesn't want to date to date. He has feelings for Jessica.
His whole life.
And he is confronted with, well, Jessica doesn't want to stay in Green Valley. She wants to travel. She's in Green Valley right now to make money to be able to go on all these trips and stuff and do all the things that she wants to do later. So Dwayne's in a conflict with himself going, do I even pursue this woman? Because I want forever. And she's not planning on sticking around. So...
And he feels like he can't go with her because he has his shop and he has a responsibility to his family and his brothers.
Right. So that was...
Yeah, and then Jessica is at a point where she's like, well, if it comes to choosing traveling the world or being with you, I want to be with you. And he's like, no, I don't want you to resent me. Mm-hmm. That type of stuff. I love you too much to let you not go after your dreams. So there's that conflict, right? But then Penny does a really good job of weaving the alternative conflict, the conflict that will weave through all the stories, which is the biker gang and the Iron Wraiths.
Yes.
So you will mainly see Depot and Razor in this book, but you'll even see a little tiny snippet of them in Beauty and the Mustache for Ashley's.
Yeah.
Is that Beauty and the Mustache hers?
Yes, Beauty and the Mustache is hers.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyways, Penny, just with all these characters and all that, just does such a good job. Her world building, you would not think like that would really happen in like rom-com type books, right? But she does. She makes everything feel cozy. Like I could see Green Valley in Tennessee when I read this book.
All of the places and everything. Yeah. She brings everything to life.
Like, it's just enough to paint like this picturesque setting in the mountains and still feel really real. It's not perfect, but I can just imagine what their land looks like. So it's just like enough. She does spend some time making you understand and see the town and feel all
She's described the Winston home, the back porch, and where they all hang out. Like, I could just see it because she talks about it.
And it's like on the edge, that they have like this land cleared, but then there's like just forest. That's all naturally like government protected. Like, and they just own all of it.
Right.
So, and then Penny's writing. Like, can we just for a minute, like, she's just, I'm going to use like her quirky words. She's awesome sauce.
She's got some special stuff going on with her writing for sure.
She's extremely witty, smart, real, authentic, character driven, and just great plot always to boot. So, but moving on. So we have favorite quotes that we used, that we picked out from this book that kind of highlight a lot of like the themes and messages in this book. So I'm gonna tell you really quick what the themes and messages are. That this pride doesn't need a push to make you fall. So Dwayne almost loses Jessica, right? A little bit, I think, because of like pride. He, maybe pride's not the right word, but he doesn't want to live. Yeah, it is true, because he doesn't want to live off her money. So at some point, Jessica inherits a lot of money that allows her to leave like immediately if she wants to. He doesn't want to ask his brothers for help because he shoulders so much of that responsibility, and he doesn't want to let anybody down. Thanks to his deadbeat dad. Mm-hmm. So they're like, because of his pride, not wanting to live off of her money, even though she's like, it would be our money. I want you to come with me. We love each other, and then the not going to his brothers for help, like feeling like I have to do this on my own. So those were things that could happen. And then another theme I thought was like communication only works if you communicate. And boy, does this couple communicate a lot, right? There's at one point where Dwayne just kind of pulls back from her and she doesn't understand. But then when they come to a head, he shares a lot of things with her. So what I really appreciate, though, is we don't have the miscommunication trope in this book. So we also have compromise is a necessity. So, like, I've been married for 17 years. It is a necessity to have compromise. Okay, sometimes, though, a partner is only able to give you, like, 20%, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe 50%. And then you have to pick up the slack. And then there'll be a season where you can't
the other way.
give.
Yep.
And then, so people are always like, oh, marriage is 50-50 or it's 100-100. I'm like, not always.
No,
like,
I mean,
I suffer from a chronic illness, and there are lots of days where my husband has to do way more of the load than I'm able to.
Right.
So you will never feel like the sting of compromise in your relationship. I feel if you are both willing to, like, just, respect the other person and give what you can. And I feel like Jessica James really shared how much she was willing to come to a compromise to keep Dwayne. And Dwayne being unwilling to compromise, it wasn't for his sake.
No, it was for her
sake.
She didn't want to ever have him resent.
That nearly led to his downfall, right? Because he didn't come to her immediately for it. He's like, I'm just going to pull away and make this easier on everybody.
Right.
Well, it wasn't easier. And thankfully, Jessica is strong and was like, you owe me an explanation.
Yeah.
Like, you better start talking, like, type of situation. And he shared, he was like, we have a quote somewhere here. She says to him, but love is the greatest adventure, where you risk the most for the greatest reward. And he's like, no, I don't know if you can see it in here. Let's forward. Let's see if you can find on one of our other ones. Nope. Yes, this one. He goes, I can't do anything about the fact that our dreams don't align. And since I do love you, I want you to live yours. Like, that was, like, he felt like he was compromising. Like, I don't get to have you, but at least you'll be living your dreams. And she's like, nope.
Cletus kind of brings some levity to all situations. He's always there with some brotherly wisdom. So yeah, he's just I love this quote because he was kind of trying to smack Dwayne back into place. And so he says to him, Dwayne, everything's temporary. It's this he gestured, this our surroundings, this is temporary. Even mountains fall, nothing lasts forever. If you've got a chance at happiness, even for a week, a month, a year, you grab it and you hold on to it for however long it lasts. Even if it's what he was saying was, even if Jessica is just what if she leaves in a year and you can't go with her? At least be happy for this year that you have with her. That's what the message he was trying to get across to Dwayne.
Yeah, and Jess shows us, that risking love is worth, worth the reward. And, she wears her heart on her sleeve for Dwayne. The journey wasn't easy. It was sometimes downright painful. Like, I kind of got teary at some points, because it's hard because Dwayne is kind of true. And what he has to say is like, I feel stuck. I can't
get up and leave.
I can't get up and leave. And I'm not going to keep you here to resent me in 10 years. Like, that to me was something real that a couple would really might face. But Jessica really just shows with us that, like, we're going to figure this out. And it's like, she just shows us how great it is. And she, like, lets him know, like, traveling would be so much better with you. Yes, I want to travel, but now that I've had you, like, it'd be so much better. And Claire actually helps Jessica see that too, that, like, traveling with somebody, like, you don't have to be this lonely person who's isolated and, like, lose her whole family. And then the final theme I found in it was, like, perfection is the thief of joy, right? Like, Dwayne tries to do everything by the book. He wants to be the perfect gentleman. He wants to be, like, the perfect brother and the perfect business owner and all those things. And he has to have everything with the plan. Like,
Dwayne is actually he's a perfectionist.
Yeah, and he, like, everything's planned. And the truth is, like, you would know this in real life, right? The plan doesn't always.
Oh, no. And people change their mind and you have no idea. Like,
situations change. They're completely out of your control and heart changes and all those things. But I love how, like, his support system was able to show him that, like, like you said with Cletus, sometimes just going for it.
You just got to take happiness when it comes and just
spontaneity, flexibility, works to your benefit and who you're with. So Anyways,
I don't know.
we have a few more quotes.
We have a ton of quotes here, stuff that we liked.
And we could put these on the underneath the podcast too. We could share them. But Bethany, their mom, she was a librarian, and so what I really love too with all the brothers and the sister is that they're extremely cultured and like well read.
They're very well read,
very articulate,
and all of the brothers' middle names
they're all like famous,
like Shakespeare, like I forget what William Shakespeare, Winston,
yeah.
And they use the all three names quite often with each other.
They'll use it usually the mom
when they're mad.
William Shakespeare. It's like Cletus does that.
Cletus does that a lot. It's great.
I just love how Dwayne also called Jess on some of her stuff, right? Because she was very like mopey, like I just can't wait to get out of here. I can't wait to get out of here. And he called her. He goes, "I'm just saying, if you can't have an adventure where you are, what makes you believe you can just go to a different geographic location essentially and have your adventure there?
Right.
Yeah. So he was helping her to really appreciate Green Valley. I mean, it's a beautiful place, beautiful location.
Where was that one? Oh,
you just had it. Oh,
you do that. You go unpack those groceries. You unpack those groceries so hard. She was just talking about Dwayne, just watching him unpack groceries, and I mean, just
the way it's Dwayne Nash, right? She's like, you unpack those groceries so hard.
Yeah. It was great. Just so funny.
And I just, again, the whole gentleman, like, Southern charm, like, you want to read them this first one?
But then he admitted quietly, I want to know you, and I want to be known.
Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
so
just,
cute.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Another, Jethro's sarcasm was Cool Whip on whipped cream, completely unnecessary. I mean, I wish I could do a good Southern drawl, but I mean,
yeah,
that's how it was said.
But there's more quotes that we could put more up for you, like
so many
under the podcast. But so much wittiness, so many great quotes, so many like great themes and messages, and just a really good picture of what a healthy relationship would look like.
Yeah.
And even though there's conflict,
but it's normal conflict.
It's normal conflict, but dealt with in a healthy way.
And you walk away feeling good. You walk away feeling refreshed, and it just gives you all the feels.
These are books I will pick up over and over again.
Yes, we've read this
when
series.
I've read, because book club sometimes picks really dark and twisty books, as we know from.
When you need a palate cleanser, this is a great series.
I literally had to listen to my Winston Brothers again to get me in a good place.
Yes.
But that, I think, do you have any other last final thoughts?
I don't. If you've read this series though and you loved it, please comment below with anything that if you didn't like it.
That's okay.
We need to come visit you. And
okay, well, she's taking a different approach.
Give you some. I don't know. I'll give you a hug. I don't know. I haven't met anybody that hasn't liked the series. Let's just put it that way. Everybody loved it.
We personally know.
That we personally know.
Or that we've recommended it to has wound up loving it and just binging the series. So anyways, we wanted to say shout out to Penny Reid. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so
amazing.
much for being awesome.
Yeah. And we will be back next episode with book 2 in the Winston Brothers series. Until then,
God bless you guys.